guys, today is Sunday. It's actually not really morning anymore. We went yesterday to a private birthday party. It was a whole lot of fun, but today is again kind of one of these hangover days. So first of all, breakfast. Today's breakfast is extremely healthy. Just fresh apples. It's about time for a nice relaxed Sunday with pancakes, Netflix, and the next edition of So yes, it's time for the next edition of track submits. I actually wanted to stay at home and just watch Netflix with Vanessa, but there are some urgent changes I have to do to one of my tracks, so heading to the studio, trying to get everything fixed. It still feels good to be in the studio, although it's Sunday. Now let's just start right away with the first track. This track was by Morales. It's called Natsukoi, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. He is a 20 years old producer from Toronto, and he likes energetic dance music. Let's see what he wants to know. Energy, easy to dance to. Any tips on the songwriting, arrangement, and of course mixing and mastering. From the mixing side of things, it's pretty much balanced. Nothing is really sticking out a lot. I think just the organ or the piano or both of them could be lowered by 1 octave to kind of fill the gap in the higher low end part. There's like really a gap between 100 and 200 hertz. From the songwriting, it's okay. The chords are like very typical and they kind of work. The main melody could also be improved. It's okay, it's working. I'm not the biggest fan of the sound that you're using for this main melody. It's just not really my type, but it fits to the style that you're going for. Maybe just try out 10, 15 or even 20 different melodies and pick the one that just works the best. I think there's still room to improve the songwriting on this track. The next track is by Zino. It's called El Prat. It's the Bits and Pieces VIP mix. And he writes that it's more an ambient track, so let's just listen to it. Mainly consisting of this arpeggiator sound that is going throughout the entire track. I'd love to see a lot more change on that sound. You need to automate it a lot more. Just opening, closing the filter isn't enough on this one. And I also think to base an entire track just on this one sound makes it quite boring. I know it's an ambient sound. It should be chilled and relaxed and hypnotic. And I also like the direction. It really reminds me of some of the early Guy Gerber tracks. So if you want to have a bit more inspiration for this track, really check out his tracks. He's doing a similar style, but he's doing way more interesting. He has a lot more small sounds going on in between. Yeah, that's the Guy Gerber track I was talking about. Haven't listened to it in a very long time. It's called Timing. I think it was released on Cocoon or maybe on his own label. But that's really something you should check out if you're interested in the more like hypnotic, ambient, a little bit progressive techno, tech house sound. And about the mixing, this main sound is so in the foreground. You seem to really like that sound. Everything else is really pushed back. Even the drums don't really get through, although they're really nice. They sound live, have a nice groove, and really carry the track on, but they're really so in the background that you kind of don't have the impact when the drums get introduced back into the track. And there's no real structure in the arrangement of the tracks, so maybe also really just pick some of the Guy Gerber tracks. They're a bit more clubby, but the breaks of those tracks are very similar to your style, to this ambient track, and just take it as a point of reference and inspiration. The next track is by Kyle. He's from California. The track is called Understand and his artist name is Wavy Lease. I actually don't really know where to begin with. The mix is extremely unbalanced, the sounds are not really nice, the melodies are not really nice. So I would just suggest to probably delete all of the tracks except for the kick and the bass, and just try to get the balance between those two right, just in an 8-bar loop without any arrangement. And if that is working, then just add one main melody and maybe a hi-hat and clap, and try to make a track just with like 5 to 6 elements, and then just make another one, and maybe also spend a bit more time with each of the tracks, because I think he has like 24 tracks on his SoundCloud, and half of them were all done within the past month. So just pick one of them where you like the musical idea and put a bit more effort into it, a bit more time into it. I think you should at least work 20 hours at the beginning on a track, and if you learn more techniques and your songwriting and mixing gets better, you can take it up to 40, 60, 70, 80 hours per track. But there is no way you make 12 tracks just in a month. The next track is by Lyndon Peasley. He's 38 years old and is doing music production as a hobby. He's also a live sound engineer for 15 years. And he's asking me what I think of his work and if he needs to strip back anything if there's too much going on. He got 2 tracks. I think I would just choose 12 Hours Crossing over Margarita. It's just a cooler name, sounds a bit more interesting. No, there is definitely not too much stuff going on. It's quite interesting. I like the style. This is also going a bit more into this older Guy Gerber direction. I really love it. It's kind of a tech house beat with some ambient, hypnotic kind of top sounds. It all really works well. I'm just missing a bigger break. There's no real break in the track. I'd love to see one in the middle of the track, or like at 2/3 of the track. That is at least a minute, maybe even 1:30 long. That really gives the people in the club an opportunity to just relax for a couple of seconds and really have a massive build up to get the people back to dancing and into the groove. It's important to give the people on the dance floor a break. If you just play tracks constantly with the beat going, the people will get just tired and probably leave the dance floor, and that's the worst thing that could happen to you as a DJ. And also as a producer, you want to make a track that just works for the DJs. Mixing wise, everything is alright. I would just try to improve the low end a bit more. I think you could raise the volume of the sub bass and make it still work by using a bit more side chaining, and maybe also just trying out another kick. I have the feeling this one doesn't really fit to the style of the music, of the track. It's a bit woody and has like a certain frequency that has like this knock sound. And I think for this type of music you need something that is a bit more subby. And the effect sounds that are going throughout the track are really nice, and that's what's keeping this kind of music really interesting for the entire duration of 6 minutes or something. The next track is by Sammy. He's from Papua New Guinea, a place that I'd really love to visit one day. He is almost 17 years old and he is producing now for 2 months. So let's just listen to his The Ants track. So for this track I would suggest first of all to just get a sample pack with sounds that fit to the style of music you're using. The track sounds like, and it also says on SoundCloud, trap, so I think Sammy wants to go into a trap direction, and for that direction you definitely need the right samples. If you have the right samples, it's way easier to make a track that just sounds like that style of music. The sounds that are used in this track sound like the standard sounds you get in your DAW, and with them it's almost impossible to hit that style. The kick is way too loud, it's overwhelming, and there are also a couple of other mixing concerns, but after 2 months you shouldn't really worry about that. That's still a phase where you just learn to use your DAW, so just keep it up, keep on going, try to improve the sound design, the musical part of the track. If you get that right, I think also the mixing will be a whole lot easier. So that's pretty much it already for today. I now really have to hurry up and work really fast. Vanessa's waiting at home. I promised to spend the entire day with her, just watching Netflix and these kind of things. And now I'm here stuck again in the studio trying to fix one thing on a track of mine. So maybe just 1 or 2 more hours here working, and then it's finally time to have a free Sunday. By the way, I almost forgot to mention, if you want to send me your track and get feedback, the email is down below in the description with all of the information that you need to send me to just get featured in the next edition of Track Submits.